Need a date for your appointment? Other text-to-speech earners make you listen to everything. Read dates. OrCam Free lets you quickly jump to the information you need. Hello, my name's Anthony and my job is to help people living with sight loss get the most from technology. In this video, I'll show you how to use the OrCam Smart Read feature to quickly find information in your documents, how to navigate documents and use the OrCam app to remotely control your OrCam. Plus, I also test the OrCam with several real-life documents. This is the second video in a three-part series, looking at the OrCam Free. If you've not watched the first video on getting started with the OrCam, then there's a link in the description. So make sure you hit the subscribe button so you don't miss the third video where I demonstrate the AI features and give my verdict on the OrCam. First, a quick disclaimer. Optelec have loaned us this device for our resource centre. So under YouTube's rules, this is considered a sponsored video. But we're receiving no payment, and neither OrCam or Optelec know we're making this video, neither have they had any editorial input. So just to remind you of the buttons on the OrCam. The round button on the left hand side is the trigger button. This is used to start and stop reading. Double pressing the trigger button both pauses and resumes reading when you're in navigation mode, and in other modes enables the voice control. Then we have the volume plus and minus buttons. Both adjust the volume, but also allow you to move backwards and forwards through a document. Finally, the power button allows you to put the device into standby and turn it on and off. In the last video, I showed you how we can use the OrCam to both scan an entire document and a particular part of a document. However, often we just want to extract particular information from a document. For example, the date of an appointment, the amount payable on a bill, or a telephone number for customer service. And to do that, you can use Smart Reading. So the Smart Reading mode allows you to find specific elements in a document. So this letter here is a typical hospital appointment letter. And we want to find out what date this appointment is. So to do that, I'm going to enter Smart Reading mode. So I'm going to hold my OrCam above the document, then say, "Hey OrCam, Smart Reading."
Ready.
Read dates.
Found 2 dates. First result. Date, the 30th of October 2025. Second result. Date, Thursday, the 20th of November 2025.
Find time.
Found 1 result of time. The 20th of November 2025 time. 10:15 a.m. Location. Outpatients Department.
Find consultant.
Found 1 result of consultant. Clinic. Orthopedics Outpatient Clinic Consultant, Mr. A. Smith. Date, Thursday.
Read phone numbers.
Found 3 phone numbers. First result, TET 0, 1, 2, 1, 5, 5, 5, 7, AHS.
Exit.
Exiting.
So we saw there how I was able to use Smart Reading to pick out particular elements. I could also search the document for text. So when I said find consultant, it was able to find the text consultant and read that out to me. And when I said find time, it was able to do the same thing. So what if I've got a more complicated document, like a magazine article? So here I've got a page from a magazine, and there are multiple articles on the page. And I want to know what articles are on the page. So I can scan this page using Smart Reading, and this time, to activate Smart Reading mode, I'm going to double press the trigger button. Smart Reading.
Ready.
Read the headlines.
Found 4 headlines. First result, Deviat Avi. Second result, our age verification check safe. Third result, BT, EE and PlusNet hike prices more. Fourth result, latest Windows 11 update.
Read the fourth article.
Latest Windows 11 update. An update to Windows 11, version 25H2, is expected to be shortly rolled out by Microsoft.
Read article about age verification.
Couldn't find an article about ramification. Let's try again.
Read everything.
Deviat Avi, our guidelines, so that we can take appropriate action in response to our findings. eBay said, counterfeit items are strictly prohibited on eBay.
So you can see there how I could use the OrCam to list the articles on a magazine page and then have it read that article to me. Something to be careful of is if the article continues onto another page, you have no way of knowing that that happens, and also it would be quite difficult to then find the remainder of that article. You'll also notice that I had difficulty with the speech recognition. It wouldn't recognise when I asked it to read the article about age verification. So normally when you scan and read a document with the OrCam, it will read the entire document. The reading navigation mode allows you to move backwards and forwards within a document and also start and stop reading. So to enable reading navigation, I double press on the trigger button and then say Enable Reading Navigation. Enable Reading Navigation.
Reading navigation is enabled.
So now I'm going to scan my document.
NHS Accessible Information Standard. Oh, Site Airedale. This is an eye clinic. I'm blind. Tell me you're not pointing Simon Mahoney, winging it blind. Have you ever missed a hospital appointment because you...
So now if I want to pause this, all I have to do is double press the trigger button. And that will pause it. Now to resume from where I left off, I just double press the trigger button again.
Rather keep that information private. Or did you miss your appointment slot because you couldn't see your name flash up?
Let's say I want to go back and have her repeat what she just read. So to do that, I can press the minus button.
But unfortunately, according to research by the RNIB 2021, 81% of patients reported having an appointment where their communication needs were unmet.
If I want to move forward through the document, I can press the plus volume button.
Or never receiving it. The NHS Information Standard requires that NHS...
To stop reading altogether, I just press the trigger button. Then, if I want to exit document navigation, I just double press on the trigger button and say Disable Reading Navigation. Disable Reading Navigation.
Reading navigation is disabled.
So as well as being able to control your OrCam using your voice and gestures, you can also control it via the OrCam app. So to install the OrCam app, first go to your App Store and search for OrCam. Then I'm going to download the app and tap Open. And I've already turned my OrCam on and I've got it on the stand. So I'm going to tap Let's Start. And because it's a Bluetooth device, I have to give the app permission to use Bluetooth. So I'm going to say Allow. It took my computer about a minute to pair with the OrCam. Then I've got a message saying that a Bluetooth device called Read would like to pair with my iPhone. So I'm going to tap Pair. And my OrCam has now been connected to the app. So I tap on Get Started. And I'm just going to tap Skip to pass that information screen. So I'm currently on the home page. if I tap on controls, so now that I'm in the control menu, there's a number of different things I can do. I can adjust the reading rate.
Rate set to 8.
Turn that down.
Rate set to 3. Rate set to 5.
I can also adjust the volume.
Volume is set to 5. Volume is set to 10.
And I can also access other settings. So if I tap on more settings, again I can adjust the reading rate, I can change the reading modes, change the language, set options for barcode and banknote reading, and just access general settings about the OrCam. So these are all the type of settings that you can access using the settings menu on your OrCam. And if you're not familiar with the settings menu, then I covered using the settings menu in video 1. So I can also remotely control my OrCam using the app. So if I tap on remote control, so I put my OrCam in its stand above a document. So the first thing I'm going to do is put it in stand mode and then ask it to read everything. If you're not familiar with stand mode, I covered this in video 1. Hey OrCam, start stand mode.
Starting stand mode.
Hey OrCam, read everything.
Medicine and Society in Early Industrial Bradford 1780 1825. Way of Introduction to the Development of Hospital.
So I can now control the reading on the app. So I can start and stop reading by pressing the play and pause button.
Hospital care in Bradford after 1000.
You can also move backwards and forwards within a document by using the next and previous buttons.
This chapter on media provision, Englishman, an Irishman and a Scot. This chapter on media provision in the...
I can also adjust things like the volume and the reading rate. So this is quite good if you just want to sit back, relax, and have your OrCam read a document to you. You can't use the app to initiate a scan of a document. To do this, you still need to either press the trigger button or use the voice commands. Now let's see how the OrCam handles different objects. So to do this, I scanned a paperback book, a hardback book, a yogurt pot, a ready meal, and a computer screen. So let's start off with the paperback book. I scanned both pages of the book at the same time.
Shame. This tab has a nickname, Alaska, after my very own Glasgow.
And the OrCam had no problems reading both of these, despite the book having quite small text. However, I would recommend you do this in a well-lit area for the best results. I then scanned a hardback book. Fully open, the book was A3 size. The first page had 2 columns of text, and the second page had 2 columns of text and 3 illustrations. First of all, I scanned both pages at the same time.
Chapter 3. The Workhouse and Family 1850.
The OrCam had no problems reading the first page, but it did struggle a little bit with the drop cap in the first paragraph. However, the second page was more challenging. There was text wrapped around an image, and it wasn't able to read this text, and it also missed out the last paragraph. I then tried scanning one page of the book at a time. This time the OrCam did better. Again, it had no problem with the first page, other than the drop cap, but with the second page I was able to read some of the text that was wrapped around the image, and it read all of the text. It also read out the captions underneath each image. I then used the OrCam to scan a yogurt pot.
Strawberry yogurt.
The top of the yogurt pot features the text Langley Farm in a semicircle, followed by an illustration of a cow. Then the text Strawberry yogurt. Below this is the expiry date. The OrCam had no problems reading the text Strawberry yogurt, but I was unable to get it to read the stylized text Langley Farm. and I also couldn't get it to read the expiry date itself. On the side of the yogurt pot, there are ingredients and a product description.
A natural, live product made with pasteurised British cow's milk,
plus a warning about nuts and nutritional information. OrCam had no problem reading the product description or the warning. It did, however, get some of the nutritional information incorrect, such as missing out the 4 on 438 kg, and it also was difficult to make out which value belonged to which nutrient. Maybe this would have been clearer if I'd slowed the speech down. Next, I used the OrCam to scan a Sainsbury's Taste the Difference ready meal.
shepherd's pie, topped with creamy mash and an extra mature cheddar crumb.
On the front of the package, there is the Sainsbury's Taste the Difference logo, which has the word Sainsbury's in light purple text on a dark purple background, followed by the word taste in a stylized font, and then the word difference. When I scanned the front of the package, the OrCam completely ignored the Taste the Difference logo. However, it did read the product name, shepherd's pie, and the description correctly, but did add some random text at the end. Instructions. Next, I scanned the cooking instructions on the back of the package.
Cheddar cheese and breadcrumbs oven cooked from chilled.
It missed the first line of the text, which spanned the 2 columns of text. The first column being the cooking instructions and nutritional information, and the second column being the ingredients and allergy information. OrCam was able to read the cooking instructions, though did make the occasional mistake misreading a word. However, the cooking instructions made sense, and the information about timing and oven temperatures were correct. I didn't use it to read the nutritional ingredients or allergen information. One of the things that many people may want to use the OrCam for is reading the information on screens in places such as airports and train stations. So I decided to test this with my computer. My computer has a 32-inch screen, so I put the Leeds Bradford Airport arrivals board on and scanned that.
Friday the 11th of December 2025. Flight note. Airline. Status. Arrives. From. KL 1021. KLM. Landed 12:20. Amsterdam. 13:05. Bucharest Otopenie FB. FR 5421. Ryanair. Landed 12:55.
The board has today's date at the top, 11th of December, and then a table with 5 columns, which are arrival time, from, flight number, airline, status, and 8 rows. When the OrCam first started reading, it got the column headers in the wrong order. Flight number, airline, arrivals, from. After the first row, it did seem to make more sense. I then tried this on our 65-inch display in the meeting room. I stood about 2 meters away from the display, and this time the OrCam struggled. I think the main problem was aiming the laser lines, because the brightness of the screen made the laser lines disappear. In this video, we've covered using the OrCam to find dates, amounts, phone numbers, and text. Read headlines and magazine articles, navigate documents using the navigation mode, and remotely control your OrCam through the app. In the final video in this series, we'll look at connecting your OrCam to Wi-Fi and using the Summarize feature, and also using the OrCam web app as a video magnifier. We'll then look at the AI features that let you talk to your documents, and I'll give you my verdict on the OrCam. So hit like and subscribe so you don't miss it.